with that, you're still learning every day. And I think that's a really good thing to show.
Yeah. The sooner they realize that you're a person, and the better. And you're not just somebody that's going to just bark at them to do this, and hope they pick it up. You want them to be, you want to be just as engaged in the training as they are in learning it. And so it's really important. Another thing is, don't, kind of set the boundaries right off the bat, but not in a harsh way. It's like, just, basically let them know, let me do the talking today. And so they can kind of see how to interact with the customers, what to expect from particular customers. One of the things that's really important is to make sure that they realize that, we're not dealing with cookie cutter people out there. Every person is different. Every customer is different. So when they can watch you interact with that customer, and then they'll know when their turn comes to talk to that customer, how to approach it.
Okay. So something I actually didn't ask you about was the interview process. What do you do in the interview process? What do you kind of look out for? And this is a comedy podcast, so I got to get some good stories of interviews that just went like shit, or that came in there that was just like, what the hell? Why are you here? Get out.
Well, first off, do not come to the interview wearing fluorescent teal sweatpants. That's kind of a turnoff.
They want to stand out.
Exactly. When you go to an interview, you want your candidate to look sharp, have a haircut. You want him to have taken a shower, and you want him to use soap in that shower, and you just want him. You want to look for that person that looks like they want to work for you. And you're not. Right now, you get a lot of people. Well, not now, but in previous years, you got a lot of people that are coming in and they're just doing the interview out of obligation to their unemployment or what have you. Those are pretty easy to spot. For one thing, 90% of the time they don't show up for the interview. You've got, I've had a guy come in, sit down, and I say, tell me about yourself. He goes, no, why don't you tell me about you? And I'm like, I asked first. So, he was very young. He was young. He was energetic. And he, I kind of hate to say this, but you do have those people that, that they're going to be wanting, their expectations are too high as far as advancement and things like that. You've got those people that, think that after 3 months they should be already up for promotion. But we all know that that's not the way the world works, but some people still think that. And then you've got the other words. If they give you one word answers in the interview, they're going to give your customers one word answers out in the field. And you do not need that. You want somebody that can be as detailed as possible when you ask them a question. Hopefully they're able to flesh it out. And a good idea as you're interviewing, unless you have, questions in a can, if you're working for a big corporation, I know a lot of them do, is to ask those questions that require more than one word to answer them properly. Then you'll get an idea about their communication skills as well. In addition to, their diction and, they're not talking to you with a mouthful of gravel and stuff like that. I had one guy come in, I thought I was going to need a translator for. I thought he was speaking English, but I really wasn't 100% sure, because it was just like, okay, well, we're going to go in a different direction. I think this has already been filled. Hey, you have a nice day. He leaves. Let's see. We have.
You're kind of making me think, just to interrupt real quick, with the guy who says, no, you tell me about you. That makes me kind of think of Step Brothers, where they walk into the interview with the tuxedos on and everything. Like, no, we're interviewing you.
It's like, and the ones you could tell if somebody's going to be right for the job just by almost, sometimes you do the minute they sit their ass down. You're going to know this ain't my guy. And but then again, you've got those other people that sit down and they look like they just woke up, but they blew your socks off as far as what they had to say. I think they say it and stuff. It's like, do you take your chance on that person? You roll the dice, and hopefully, if you tell them, okay, you need to shave that beard, you need to get a haircut, and this and that, and I'll see you. He shows up on the first day. A lot of times I see them, man, they're clean cut, they got their shave on and stuff, and they turn out to be pretty solid people. If you get the one that's like, oh, I forgot. I said, well, why don't you come back until when you remember? So I mean, we've gotten, gosh, I've interviewed tons of people. I can't even begin to tell you how many, and only a few out of the hundreds that I've done have really blown my socks off. And those are those, but because you do kind of get scared. It's like, this is too good of a thing, but then when you get that one guy, he's average, he looks average, he's clean, and he sits down and he answers the questions in an average way. I mean, you would know what I'm talking about when I say average way.
Yeah.
He does it. He's looking forward to working. He's not overly excited about it, but he's not like, ugh. So those are the guys that end up being your lifers. Those are the guys. They maintain that even strain their whole damn careers, and those are the guys that I really love seeing walk in the door. This is, let's face it, it's pest control. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. It's something that if you apply yourself to every day, you're gonna have the job. And so
it's hard work, but it's not hard work.
Exactly.
At the same.
The hardest, the one challenging thing about it is keeping your commitments. I mean, because our job's all about commitments. You've got customers that are expecting you on a certain day at a certain time. You got to be there. And if you're not going to be there, if you can't be there on time, you call them. I had one guy. He blew a customer off, and this was on Friday, and I didn't find out about it until Monday when I was doing his paperwork, and I saw that empty ticket was back turned in. So I called the guy up, and I was like, "Did you get Mr. So-and-so? You didn't get to Mr. So-and-so's house. What happened?" He goes, "Well, it was too late." He goes, "I did get there, but he wasn't there." I said, "Well, did you call him?" And he goes, "No, I didn't call him because traffic and construction would have made such a call unsafe." I was like, "Well, looking at your GPS, you left at this place at 4:00 and it was an hour and a half to a 5:00 appointment. Such a call could have taken place in the parking lot." You're gonna, you got just, that's one of the things, you have some professional courtesy. Make sure your customers know what's going on. If I was having something done in my house and a guy called saying my job's running long, I'm going to be late, I might be a little bummed about it, but I'm not going to get mad. At least the guy told me. And and you have to be the guy that does it, not the call center, not your manager. You as the employee, as the technician that's going to be late, needs to make that call. I didn't get off the topic, did I? As far as
a little bit. But any interviews that were just like, this guy is spectacularly weird or like odd, like came in with it? I mean, besides the teal pants,
yeah. I've had,
or even any applications that came in that were like,
the ones that I've had several that will come and sit down, and then you ask, "So, why do you want to work here?" And their answer always involves some sort of horrific thing that happened at their previous job, and they weren't treating me right, and they weren't paying me enough. Their benefits were ass, and this, that, and the other, and all this other, throwing down a bunch of negative shit. I've had a job. I had one job where I was fired for something that I had no play in, and I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go into an interview and say stuff like that. I'm going to say,
no, you don't ever talk about your previous employer, because then you're just going to talk bad about your current employer.
So yeah, those are some things you definitely want to avoid. Gosh, I wish I had some recent stories for you, Nick, but I've had an ad out on Indeed for I don't know how long, and I've had maybe 2 or 3 resumes come in for like in the last 2 months. It's like I'm having trouble finding people.
We've been in the same boat recently. So it's hard to
find.
Well,
not
people.
Just that, Nick. It's also kind of profitable to stay home right now, but that's all going to end eventually, and people are going to be looking for work. So, if you could just keep the ceiling tiles from falling down at the office until that day, then you're good.
Oh, we're fine. I mean, we've been growing since the pandemic began, so I mean, we're going to make it through it, no problem at all. It's just trying to keep the dumbasses out, the people that don't want to work or don't know how to communicate and stuff like that. I was actually thinking about one. I came into the office, and they're like, yeah, we had a guy put an application in. And we called him up, told him, we'd like to come in for an interview, but we're going to have to do a background check first. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I want y'all to do that. And he's like, well, we got to do a background check. And he's like, well, you might find a few things on there. And we just found armed robbery, kidnapping, a few minor things on there.
Yeah, jaywalking.
Yeah, it was just jaywalking. Yeah. So he didn't come in for an interview. I think we also had somebody apply who didn't have their driver's license. It's like, well, what?
Are you just going to ride your bike to the stops, or?
Yeah. Or Uber every stop.
Yeah, that gets pricey. Oh man, yeah. But as far as the interview process, hey, you're spinning the wheel. I don't care. People can put on a game face at an interview, and it makes you think they're the greatest thing, and they're a perfect fit and everything. And then when they get in there, they just fall on their face. It's other things that you got to look at. I mean, if you got a resume in front of you, the job hopper thing, that's an instant one right there. It's like, well, this guy's had 12 jobs, and you never spent more than a year at any of them. So it's like, what, is he looking for the promised land or something? But, that's a guy that's probably going to do that to you as well. Another one is large gaps in between employment dates. This may not hold true in recent times because of the lockdowns and all this other good shit. But back in the past, that was always a red flag. It's like, well, what the hell did this guy do for 2 years in between this and this? Sometimes you'll get, I was taking care of my sick mother. I had to stay home with her full time, that kind of stuff. We had a lady that we interviewed many, many years ago, and she had a 10-year gap in employment. And it was because, she was sick. She had taken care of her parents as well and stuff like that. We ended up taking a chance on her and hiring her. That woman, she was one of the best admin people I ever knew. And, I still stay in touch with her. Love you, Shirley, if you're listening. But she turned out to be my older sister at the end of it. But, haven't worked with a woman for over 10 years, and we still talk. But yeah, you really do. I mean, I think about all the people that I've known throughout my different jobs that I still stay in contact with, just because they're damn good people. And when you're still working with them and you think they're a damn good person, that's even better. So let's see. That's about all the interview stuff I got. I got some training stories if you want.
Yeah, I was about to say, what about the people that you're like, this interview went great, they hopped in the truck, and you're like, what the hell did I just do?
The farter's a good instance, a good example. It's not good weather to have your windows down, and this guy is just rotten to the bone, man. He was just letting them loose, and I'm just in there dying, and then getting to an account and for his training. He does the same. I'm down, crouched down underneath the counter. I'm showing him some stuff. I have him reach in with a flashlight so he can see fecal points for cockroaches and stuff like that. He sticks his ass right in my face and lets one fly. I was like, I can't get this guy out of my truck quick enough. And I'm just like, I took him into the office. I was like, dude, what the hell? And he goes, I'm having problems